Hi everyone, it's Ray here reporting for Women's Football Today. Sunny weather and it's a sunny new broadcasting deal. Sky and the BBC will show up to 66 Women's Super League games next season. Fantastic deal, reported to be worth £21 million over 3 years. And I just want to talk about two aspects of the deal that interest me. And one is finances and the second one is fans. First of all, the finances, the numbers. Each Women's Super League team will get somewhere in the region of, let's say, £450,000 a season, and each championship team will get somewhere in the region of £150,000. What difference will that make? Well, I think to some of the bigger clubs, let's say the top four, who seems to be well ahead of the pack, that's Arsenal, Man City, Man United and Chelsea. I'm not sure how much difference it's going to make financially. Look, it's always nice to get a little bit of extra money, but I'm not sure how big a difference it's going to make. To some of the clubs at the other end of the table, I think it makes a huge difference. You can't argue it closes the gap because it's the same money for everybody, but it does close the gap a little bit. It will allow some other clubs to maybe hang on to their players a little bit longer, be able to play them a little bit more, which might entice them to stay with the clubs a little bit longer. And if they stay a little bit longer, it makes them a little bit more competitive. And I think that's only positive news for the Women's Super League, for the Championship and for the women's game in general. It doesn't really address grassroots or clubs in the lower leagues, the lower tiers of the women's football in England, but at the top echelons, players I think will get more money. It will enable us to avoid hopefully some incidents like last season. Was it a Watford player who had a crucial ligament injury, and she basically said at 23, I might as well give up football. The club aren't paying for the operation. I can't afford it myself. I think it's about £15,000, and the waiting time if I go on the NHS is going to be a year. Put another year on for recovery. You know, you got to live. You got to move on with an alternative career. So hopefully it can redress. It'll help to sort out some of those imbalances, because at the top clubs they can afford to insure the players, pay for operations, and everything else adequately. I mean, I'm sure everybody insures the players, but a level of insurance or a level of paying for medical treatment that goes beyond the norm, beyond the minimum. And I think that's for the women's game, that's only got to be good. Looking at it from a fan's perspective, from a fan's point of view, let's really hope that with the influx of the cash, with the control that the TV companies will have over women's football to some respect. We've seen it with the men's game. We've seen some silly kick-off times. We've seen some silly, requirements of teams, clubs and fans to go across countries on bank holidays and stuff like that. The worry is with the women's game, there are 4 TV slots. One of them is Friday night, 6:30. One of them is Sunday night, 6:30. Which, look, they're getting the dregs of the men's, because there's no, generally, men's games at those times. Certainly not Premier League games. And these are the slots that the TV companies will stick the games on at. Some of them, and there's 2 of the slots over the weekend, which are better for fans. But Friday night kickoff at 6:30 makes it really tough for fans to get to games, especially if you've got to, for argument's sake, travel 100 miles or so to get to your opposition ground. Unless they're local games, and even in local games, it's still going to be tough. I mean, can you imagine a London derby on a Friday night at 6:30 trying to get across town, or in Manchester, for instance? It's going to be really, really tough. Sunday night is going to be the same. I'm just trying to think who's going to be willing to take their kids, because one of the main things and the good things about women's football is it's more, I would say, family oriented. I would say suggest more younger people go to these games. For instance, I've told people many times, I've got 2 lads, one teenager, one who's 12. They prefer to go to women's games rather than the men's games because of the atmosphere there. It's, I think, a lot more fun. In the past, they've had a bit more access to players. Players will come after games and you get your selfies and stuff like that. Obviously with COVID, that might not happen going forwards, but you know, I do see a lot of young children, especially girls, but boys as well, at Women's Super League games and women's games in general. So, you know, how will that affect them at 6:30 on a Sunday? If you think you're finishing at 8:30, getting out the ground by 9, you know, if you've got to travel 2 or 3 hours to get home, it's always going to be a problem. If you've got to travel, if you've got kids, or if you've got if you've got a life really, you know, around outside of football. So I just hope there's not too many games on a Friday night. I've got a feeling there'll be, let's say 10 a season, same on a Sunday night. You know, let's hope it's not too problematic for fans, and let's hope with the influx of new money into the game, you know, I think there will be more, you know, the game will be a much higher profile. There'll be more sponsors involved, I'm pretty sure of that. Let's just hope that the ticket prices don't go the same way as they've done in the men's game. At Manchester City, which is my club, I think I paid somewhere in the region of £80. The last season ticket I bought. It's that long ago, I can't remember how much it was. And let's just hope that it's not too expensive. The prices at the gate don't go up to reflect the new money, as I said, coming into the game, because there will be more money coming in. I don't see why there is a need for the prices to increase, but you'll see, you know, I think with the people call it professionalism in the game, but you'll see inevitably in the next few years, you'll see, I think, ticket prices increase. I don't think they need to, but you'll get, my worry is you'll get to a stage like the men's game where it's dog eat dog and people are pushing for every extra penny so that they can afford to buy more expensive players, afford to pay them more money, and my worry is something like this, it could get out of hand. I hope it doesn't. I hope, as some people have said on social media, that the fans of the women's game are recognised for what they've done whilst there wasn't the money in the game. People who've reported on the women's game get some sort of recognition, don't get pushed to one side. I will expect some new entrants into the big new entrants onto the media side of things, onto reporting and you know, websites and stuff like that. And some of the big boys, I think, will come in and push inevitably some of the smaller people to one side, smaller organisations who've been doing it generally for fun, for the love of the game. And I hope that doesn't happen. I hope, we've heard some rumblings this season, earlier in the season, where, you know, some organisations were talked about excluded from press conferences or going to games or something like that. I can't remember the full details, by 1 or 2 clubs, and that is a backward step in my opinion. You shouldn't be turning your back on the people, the organisations, the fans that have supported you for so long, through many years when there wasn't a lot of money in the women's game. There weren't a lot of fans, let's be honest, in the women's game, and some people have been supporting you for so long. Don't turn your backs on them. But it'll be really interesting to see what happens. I mean, this deal is a 3-year deal. Apparently the broadcasting companies wanted a 4th year. The FA have not gone for that, because they believe in 3 years' time the women's football in England will be worth so much more, and they can hopefully, for their sakes, negotiate a better deal next time round. So that's why they've gone for this. So, you know, let's see what happens. You know, it's an exciting time. Yes, it's absolutely, definitely an exciting time for women's football in England, and let's hope there will be that trickle-down effect. Let's hope there's a lot more exposure on, you know, obviously on the BBC, on Sky. They will obviously push the game a lot more, and let's hope people pick up interest and watch the games and appreciate them for what they are. And I hope we'll have a lot of new fans who will see what's going on and say, yeah, you know, I can get involved in that, whether it's young girls who want to play football and can see a pathway, can see a future in the game, and get some more household names, some more heroes, some more role models, and some more people to look up to, and that's got to be good for the game.